So, hello everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Spiritual Journey podcast. Today, I have a special guest, and she is going to introduce herself.
Um, Hello, I am on Facebook. It's Mimi Brown. Um, and my TikTok name is at Miss Mimi second page, and that's number 2 NDPAGE. That's my TikTok. I had 1,000 followers, but I'm starting all over again. So, spiritual advisor, tarot reader, root worker, clearly a full-time parent.
Today's topic is going to be trauma bonding. We're going to start with the definition of trauma bonding. Let me share my screen. Here. So this is the definition of trauma. Oh, let me try this one. What is trauma bonding? A trauma bond is an attachment between two people, one of whom carries more power in some kind of way over the other. There are positive reinforcements after periods of emotional, physical, and or mental abuse, thus leading to trauma bonding. This becomes a cycle as each time the abuse is perpetrated. The perpetrator shows remorse and makes attempts to repair the relationship. Okay. I've learned this technology. Yes. So
Got to.
that is the definition of trauma bonding. And it seems as though trauma bonding is a consistent toxic of us receiving dopamine and cortisol. It's like these really high highs where the person who the narcissist, usually they call them narcissists, the person who is doing most of the damage. This person is in control of the other person's emotions because they consistently display these behaviors that go between gratitude, where they can shower you with gifts and do love bombing, and then the next day they could be blaming you for things or making you feel as though you can't trust them. See that this exists a lot, and the people who come to us for spiritual assistance, they seem like this is one of the common denominators that we've seen between all of our clients is that they are involved in these trauma bonding relationships, whether it's with their parents or with their spouse or with their brother, their sister. Trauma relationships just exist in physical relationships or marriages or just, in love. What is it that you think is one of the causes of trauma bonding relationships or a sign of a trauma bonding relationship?
I believe one of the biggest signs that I see with trauma bonding is like failure to see where you're at fault. Like, because I've done it, of course. So in trauma bonding, I'll be, if I know that I did wrong, but when you address me, I point out something that you did wrong that made me do wrong, or I tell them there was something they could have did better, or if I like, it's almost like a tug and pull. It's from what I've seen with a lot of relationships. Somebody, whoever is in a lot of situations that the narcissist position, I feel like flips flops back and forth. Like they take priority in certain situations, depending on the person.
Yeah, I think that it can be they participate on some type of level, even if you're the person who's the victim, because those people I notice are constantly waiting or looking for the other person to change. They're so busy focusing on this person is treating me like this. They need to change these behavioral patterns rather than focusing on what they need to change themselves. That's allowing them to accept that type of emotional, physical, or mental abuse. from this person whom they may recognize those narcissistic tendencies from. And usually that narcissistic tendency is something that they've seen before, whether it's with their parents or with another relationship that they've had in their childhood. And when they recognize those patterns in another person that they begin any type of relationship with, it's like their brain was used to it. It's like they normalize it in a way, so they accept it. And sometimes they continue to accept it even in extreme cases, like how they have Stockholm syndrome, where the victim builds real emotional connections with the abuser. So it's like a cycle that they are stuck in, and it takes a lot of courage to break.
Yes, peace for people built on survival a lot of times is scary. You get what I'm saying? They immediately feel like it's too quiet, like it's a horror movie, or like they're stuck in this box, and everywhere they go, they're in danger, like, or they're on high alert. PTSD. So a lot of these people do have PTSD in some form or another. And so for a lot of people in multiple areas of their life, it's a lot of PTSD, and that's where a lot of that stuff really comes from. It's like you walking around with a scared to not look over your shoulder. You can't even see what's going on directly in front of you because you're looking over your shoulder, analyzing everybody to make sure that everybody is who they say they are.
Oh yeah. I also noticed like they'll try and do a lot of people pleasing to avoid chaotic situations, which triggers those emotions from that childhood experience where they were with a narcissistic person. So it's kind of like they constantly see these triggers throughout their day because their brain is almost programmed to receive it in that way, literally, because we have the dopamine and the cortisol that is released when we have these extreme highs and these extreme lows. And if those things are triggered on a consistent basis, then you're building this repeating pattern. So your brain acknowledges that this is a part of a normal everyday life. And what I see is most people who are in these type of karmic relationships or these trauma bonding relationships, they're experiencing the same thing in multiple aspects or with multiple relationships, not just with their spouse, but with their mother also. It's like all over the board. And they have a tendency, generational. Definitely, I see that a lot, especially when it comes to marriage.
Oh, that you're acting like your mom, or you're acting like your dad, or you just it's a sad, because I think everybody in some form or another has been guilty of this, and that's where self-awareness comes into play. That's where
actually like an example of a childhood experience that connects with that is, let's say your mom or your dad didn't show you a lot of approval or gratitude. You were constantly trying to do things so you could avoid them having an extreme emotion. It's like you treading on thin ice even when you were a kid. So if you learn how to tread on thin ice when you're a kid, you learn how to just kind of do things to not cause your parent to have a extreme emotional reaction. And then you go into these relationships where you're noticing this person has this extreme emotional reaction, so you begin to walk on eggshells all over again. It's a trauma response.
You build a perfectionist trait. A lot of people have this perfectionist trait. Certain things that we do, like I was really well with school academically. I was always top tier academically. So, but it wasn't the fact that I was doing it on purpose. You see what I'm saying? I was just really good at it. It was just second nature for me. So with everything else came this immense high standard. Like, well, if you can do this, you should be able to do this, that, and the third, do this on top of this on top of this, and then being a female, so I feel like, especially as an older child, I was an older child, it comes with a lot more responsibility. You gotta, you're the example. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's all they're watching. You gotta, and even though like you might be good at some things, there might be other things that you lack in. And a lot of times, those are the things they nitpick at the most because they know that that's a weak point. It's like, I'm not gonna be perfect. That's something that, I think a lot of people especially if you're academically ahead. People who are very bored in class, who were kind of just there, they're always deemed to be like an issue with their parents because they're just how they express and how they become who they are. It's totally different from what parents want them to do. It's not the same. They never line up. They're normally completely different from their parents internally. Is gifts wise, art, paint, music, spirituality. I mean, shit that they parents ain't doing. They excel, but we also excel in the shit that they want us to do. You know, so it's like you trying to fight with that. Like I can do both, and then you end up, like you said, people pleasing. And there's a thin line between healthy people pleasing and OD people pleasing. And I think a lot of us OD people please, but we're trying to do what we want to do and do what they want to do. Right. To make everybody happy, so everybody shut up. Like I've done everything, no stone unturned. Nobody should have shit to say to me. Then you build up this thing where people feel like you always okay. You build up this wall of like, I don't need no help. It can be a little intimidating.
Especially in trauma bonding relationships, because you already begin to isolate yourself if people begin to ask questions about your relationship and what's going on, and that situation may make you feel uncomfortable. And if you have other family members or friends who care about you, who are recognizing these patterns, they may begin to say something, and that can put someone in a mental turmoil, because you have this one side is your heart, your family telling you all these things, and then you have this relationship with this narcissistic person in which you've developed this repetitive pattern with. So I wonder what would be some good solutions for people who are in trauma bonding relationships. There's one specifically that I researched about the things that the narcissistic or abusive person would say to the individual. Like you got to remind yourself the way that they was treating you, because if you don't, then you're going to make an excuse for their actions. And that's typically what people in trauma bonding experience do. Oh, they had a rough childhood. Or they said these things that they don't mean. You constantly making excuses for their actions instead of creating solutions for yourself so you can get out this situation. Or
some people can change. It's up to that person though. People be acting like, oh, I could just show him how much, and I could just be there. I'm like, no, that's not how this shit works. You see what I'm saying? If he is showing you that he don't like tomatoes on your sandwich, and you keep putting them on his sandwich, every time you fix him a fucking sandwich, if you put tomatoes up there, and every time he get the bun, he lift it up, he look at the tomato, he take it off the oil on the plate. After a while, you're gonna be like, damn, you wasting all my tomatoes. You be like, but I told you I don't want tomatoes. You can't force somebody to want something because you feel like it's good for them. You get what I'm saying? They have to believe that and have the taste for it and the desire. Like, like as we age and all of a sudden we eat shit we never ate as kids. Like all of a sudden I like peas. All of a sudden I like certain vegetables. All of a sudden I don't have cravings for stuff like pork. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a process, but it really works like that. It really works like that.
Do you see that a lot when you do spell work for people, like people who want to do something on that person's behalf? Like, not in a divine retribution type way, but they're like, I want this person to see how they treated me. I want them to see the type of hurt that they caused me, or I want them to experience this.
I'm all for the bullshit, and that's the worst thing about me is I will read now. I will, if they whatever part she played, I'm gonna chastise her about it. She's not gonna get away with it. And 9 times out of 10, if she's coming to me or he's coming to me, the karma has already set in on their side at this point. It's not just him anymore; it's her and him that's going through a lot of turmoil, and a lot of times she's going through it with him, like living together or constantly being up under each other.
So how you gonna do spell work on somebody who in your house? Like
you're sharing the bullshit. You get what I'm saying?
Y'all still tied. And then
don't live with him and still go around him. You're sharing. I want to make sure he's getting his. But do you see why you keep going through what you're going through though? Like, are you not seeing it every time you go around him? Oh, your tire pop. Oh, your engine broke down. Oh, you lost your card over there. You lost your ID. Like, it's not adding up. But every time I come over here, I get something. I might get some weed or something. Damn, like, something happens
It don't
to me.
even be worth it. So
Don't
that's
even-
one of the things
It don't.
people don't do in trauma bonding relationships. Y'all constantly ignore all them red flags, but you be hashtagging red flags. You be on TikTok watching the red flags, but you be ignoring the real red flags in your life.
Ignoring
Just like,
everything.
but most of the people,
It feel good. And it really be
ooh,
because, and I tell people, I talk a big game, but that's because I know how I move. I was like, but I've been in a few situations, very few, very seldom, where I was in I caught myself getting ready to do some extra shit for somebody that I knew wasn't mine. You get what I'm saying? And when I caught myself, I was like, hey man, you about to piss yourself off. You already see him for who he is. You know who he live with. Back up. Think about it. Because this is about to be war. And I know internally, once my heart is in it, I don't stop. You see what I'm saying?
That's the thing, because then you have built that emotional tie. So I feel like cord cutting is a really important. If you want that type of divine retribution, you got to be willing to cord cut energetically from that situation, so that you're not tied to it emotionally or physically. Because once you get to war, once that old glow energy starts, once that energy once they knock you buck.
Your ancestors and his ancestors can be at war. You see what I'm saying? Like, I tell people that, you ain't never been in a relationship where your ancestors and his ancestors be at war, and it's because both of y'all be wrong. I was like, bro, you know what that's like? And you know, like, you could be like, when you wrong, they be both. And when he wrong, they be both. And you got, but it's not enough to the point where you feel like y'all don't need to be together, because it's after a while, it's the petty shit. It's the little shit, as you age, more is expected of you at this point. That's why I tell people, the shit you do when you're young, okay, I got it. But after a certain age, okay, at this point, you playing with God.
Right.
I was like, so you wait until you're 35, I don't want to chill out. Okay, cool. But you got 20 years of making up to do. I knew that. Growing up, I watched people do it. Like, I know people in their 50s still making up for shit that they did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't see how people watch people do that and turn around and just do the same. Learn from other people's
generational, especially since you said it was generational. Some examples of generational trauma bonding that I've noticed is, like, you have these old school grandmas and grandpas where basically they didn't have a shootout, like they didn't set house on fire, they didn't threw the hot grits, they didn't threw the hot water down, they did something real toxic. And now you have raised children who also do toxic things in their relationship. And that can go from generation to generation until we create the changes that is needed. And I learned that myself, because if I would have dealt with some of the situations in my relationship the way that my mother did as I was growing up, I could have put myself in a real negative situation.
In jail.
Look, I'm not as long as my mother. My mother is a Sagittarius. I only weigh 100.
Oh, I know she was with it. She was always with it.
I ain't got that type of bold fire spirit. Like, I can look at a situation like that.
And
I ain't gonna fight you physically, but spiritually, I might have. We can go toe to toe spiritually, but physically,
I think it's a lot to do with how smart you are. It has a lot to do with you being like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I do this to them, I know
you develop this knowing. I feel like we didn't have that, some of us growing up, so we just seen people react extreme in an extreme way. And when we're put in those same situations where we can react extreme, we really have to assess our situation. Like, dang, is there kids around? What would I do if my kid repeated the same action that I just did? Like, if we just
ask, you start thinking about all the little white folks that gonna be knocking your door, CPS, DSS.
I thought about that a couple times. I'm like, nah, I ain't even. I like my kids. CPS can't have my kids. I need them. I love them. I want to do my best to take care of them. But in that, I have to recognize when I may be repeating patterns that I've seen growing up. Because if you can recognize it, you can then make steps to change it. Just like I believe if you can recognize being a karmic or trauma bonding relationship, you guys have the option to make choices to change it. Like they got the option to abuse you and treat you like you ain't nothing and give you these high highs and low lows, and you have the option to stay. Unless you're in an extreme situation where your life is in danger or you in shackles. I ain't talking to y'all, so don't y'all be in the comments, bro. What if my cousin was kidnapped?
Ain't nobody, because some of y'all need to run. Do you understand?
Like, you're the exception to the. Have you, as a spiritual worker, been asked by any clients who are in those situations where they're like, I'm in an abusive relationship, what do I do?
Yo, listen. Because of the type of person I am, I think, how the fuck did it even get this bad? You get what I'm saying? Like, they be telling me it's, and a lot of times by the time they contact me, it's been years. You get what I'm saying? And I just be like, man, and some of them been around, you know, why you ain't say nothing? Oh, they was embarrassed. No shame, you know, it's just shit, friend. You know, like you need to, and I tell people all the time, I say, I'll never tell you to leave somebody. But if you ever come to that decision, if you ever come to do something like that, I'm going to highly suggest you run. You get what I'm saying? This is not one of those things where I can put a spell on him to fix. If he's going through these various points of rage, breaking shit,
he is fighting demons.
You won't need to go to the cemetery because that sounds like I'm gonna have to pull some spirits from somewhere to make him sit down. But you don't know what that sit down is gonna be. That's the scary part about it, because he already owes karmic debt. That's why he keeps putting his hands on it, because he's living through that karmic debt in some shape, form, or way. He's going through it. You just probably can't see it because he's beating on you to prevent you from seeing what's going on with him. He wants you to. I'm strong.
Answer the question.
I'm strong. You weak. I'm beating you down. You can't say nothing. You can't check me. I'm the head, not the tail. You know. So when some of them push, I say, you want me to push? You want me to push? I say, all right, man. You see what I'm saying?
You gotta be all the way sure. You gotta be all the way sure.
His, because I don't make the final decision as to what happens to you. I just push you to the front. You know, I push you a little closer. You know, I make push you a little bit closer, make you go face to face with what you and if it ends up worse, then hey, that's not my. You know, it's not my.
And ultimately, they kind of are accepting karmic responsibility, because us as a root workers, we know how to protect ourselves, so that way we're intending for karmic justice to happen. And I know with anything like that, I'm gonna use Saturn energy, because Saturn is that retribution, Saturn is that judgment, Saturn.
I'm grinding. I'm using Mars. You feel what I'm saying?
Ooh,
I have an Aries Lilith and an Aries rising. So I use my Mars energy because for a lot of them, it just took some coochie. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's the saddest part about dealing with these energies. That's why I tell them to have some sort of hold out a little bit, man. I say, because I'm telling you, a lot of these men get in through their penis. You think I'm tripping? Then these no sex magic. It's a lot of warlocks. I was like, I'm telling you, hold out, clink, clink, keep it, because I'm telling you, like, now you got to figure out how to fight that. And that's gonna be hard.
If you don't know that what you're signing up for when you create that sexual tie. You like, okay, let me deal with some of this karma. Y'all just share karma right there. You don't automatically bond each other.
Be on your period. No, because sex in general can make you bleed. You can bleed a little bit and not even know it. You know what I'm saying? So you can't say that it's period sex or it's period. No, it's sex. It's fluids. You understand? Like people like to have sex raw. See, now you got to worry about.
Before you even have sex, you can build an emotional tie by consistently being around this person in their auric field, especially if yours is not protected. If you don't even protect your own energy and you go around another person who don't protect their own energy, y'all just mixing a whole bunch of energy already before y'all have even had sex.
Just coming up with tornadoes and hurricanes.
Like what they used to say, you are who you hang around. You are who you hang around. You start picking up on some of that energy.
What? And that's why when people come to me with some of these, oh, he's a bad person. I say, hey man, you know, most of the times people attract because they got some similarities. Don't shit on him. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in that narrative where I need to make the man feel less. No, like if sis wrong, sis, you wrong. Like point blank period. That's a no-no.
Your part, your role in the situation, if you're gonna make any change, like that's that thing it's correct what you were saying when it jumps back and forth, that narcissistic tendency, just in different ways. Some person might be more emotionally abusive and some might be more mentally abusive. Even if that mental abuse is just you taking the action to give in to whatever it is that they want, you participated in some type of way. And if you don't take accountability for that, it will be extremely hard for you to change. You're just going to end up in another relationship doing the same type of thing. He just might not beat your ass. It just might be a little different. Yeah. So it's something that's ingrained inside of people. And if they don't make the proper choices to do the spiritual healing that they need. Some people need a little bit more than spiritual healing, especially when you're dealing with generational issues. You're going to have to do some cleansing.
When they have children with these men, I no shade, and I can quote this, I be feeling so bad for them because I cannot fathom not being able to leave my children with their fathers. I cannot fathom. Like that is it's so sick. You know what I'm saying? And it's so sad that it's women like they can't trust the father, whether it be verbal abuse, physical abuse. You know, they can't. That's not cool, man. Like it don't matter what you do to each other. Leave the kids out of that shit. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like
you're right, but not gonna touch these kids. You see what I'm saying?
The people parenting out of fear. Like when you have that intense emotional reaction to a toxic situation you and that person went through, even several years later, when you try to do an exchange with your kids or participate, you might still be reacting from that same extreme emotion that person did several years ago. So you could be projecting that fear onto your children. Say, oh, one day he might beat her. One day he might hit her. One day he might do this or that to her, when he may not have that intention. And maybe he changed. Maybe he did change. But I feel like there's a lot of people putting the relationships with the child's other parent at risk due to fear because they were in a trauma bonding relationship with this person. And that's what their brain remembers. That's that intense emotion that they connected them in some type of way. So that's challenging because some people that one's hard. That one's hard.
I've seen chicks go through. I'd be like, man, my kid would never, ever, ever, ever see his ass again. Do you understand? Like, but I grew up in an environment where a lot of the men, they were, you know, Papa was a Rolling Stone. Papa got them. They did what they did. But these kids is always safe. Kids is always safe. Kids is always fed. Kids is always clothed. Kids always with food. Kids is always, nothing ever went wrong with the kid, but he did mama, auntie, grandma dirty.
Ask that question to the audience. Have you ever had to co-parent with somebody who you were in a trauma bonding relationship with? Let us know, because I can only imagine that that is a challenging situation.
Girl, they
Because
be
both of
like,
y'all gonna have to do the work.
by the grace of God, I
It's
forgave
so
him.
crazy how much we gotta see that, like, people shaming their baby mama or their baby daddy these days, especially on the internet. I feel like that's the main enemy for y'all, is when y'all exposing that information. It's like you're constantly manifesting some messy stuff in that situation between you and the other parent. When you start to bring that chaotic energy to it, if anything, baby, I'll bring some peace. We're gonna get a peace spell. I will conjure peace in the situation if I had to. Because one thing you don't want me to feel is threatened. Because if I feel threatened, I'm gonna send them on you. I'm gonna send them on you, and there won't be nothing for you to do. So as a spiritual worker, like, you gotta learn how to tame yourself, because it could be some situations that you could create that can make it real, real messy, real hard for people. But at the same time, you might be tied to that same karma. So I feel like it's cool. It can be a little tough. Not only just experiencing this as spiritual workers, but also to see your clients go through this, especially with that Pisces placement where you're empathic and you're able to pick up on other people's feelings.
Everybody. And that's why I be in the house. You know what I'm saying? I have 4 Pisces placements. I have 4 Pisces,
Ooh.
4 Scorpio, 3 Capricorn, 2 Aquarius, 2 Aries, and a Virgo. But I'm mostly water. So I can smell. You ever smelled somebody and you just like, something ain't right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They pheromones. Like, I can clearly remember any man that I've ever truly had a connection with. He smelled like heaven. You get what I'm saying? Like, his natural out the shower scent. You know, like, so I smell, I look, I'm watching how much I need to walk. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is an indicator of something. And I believe that deep down, people don't just do shit. People do shit for certain reasons.
With that being said, some of y'all need to learn how to trust y'all senses, because your body reacts to the people that you are around. Sometimes negatively. If you sneezing 5 times in a row when you just see somebody you around a certain person, you got to start picking up on the signs. Your eyes always watering every time you around this person. If you get a headache every time you around this specific person, you got to listen to your body. You got to listen to your senses. Start listening to your intuition.
It starts with sexual understanding too, because it's women that go years without having an orgasm. They don't know nothing about it. You get what I'm saying? And they be me, and I be like, girl, I had my first one when I was 18. And they be like, what? And I be like, yeah. And once you gain that kind of confidence, you don't go looking for nothing. You get what I'm saying? Who you with, and you know exactly what you want. It's that you're never confused. You don't never mess with somebody just because after so long, you know what type of being gonna click with you. You just know. You get what I'm saying? It don't take long when you are aware. So when women aren't aware, they just be doing it just to see if it's gonna be okay. If I look at you, you built a certain way, I know it's not gonna be good. I'm not even gonna play with you. You get what I'm saying? Like, men built like T Grizzly, I know it's gonna be a problem.
It's crazy. I like men who's chubby.
No, his butt. Look, if he ain't got no booty,
at T Grizzly butt.
if he ain't got no booty, you need to run. Like, I feel like men who ain't got no ass are more likely to hit you. You get what I'm saying? Like,
that's all I've ever dated is men, and they kind of like the worst ones, because as soon as they stand up, like, you just get full moon. And even if they wearing a belt, like, if it's flat back there, it's just flat back there, and let it hang on too.
No, man, I like solid, solid like muscles. I do like Reds. He's brolic. You get what I'm saying? He's like swole. But I really don't like being this skinny. You know what I'm saying? It's uncomfortable. You can't lay on him.
I'm skinny myself, but I can't.
Yeah, I don't
need
that.
Skinny
medium built to I like chunky, but I like the ones who got a big butt because I just feel like it's nice to look at. You know, it's nice to look at. I mean, that's equivalent to a man saying he like a woman with a nice. It's nice to look at.
They like what they like.
If you like butts, if you're a butt person,
that's what you're looking for.
I got long legs. As a leg person, okay, you like long legs? Okay, I got long legs. You can look at them. You know.
I think it's funny that you brought that up because I feel like one of the things that people who are in trauma bonding relationships, especially the ones who are the victim, like they don't have that little confidence in themselves. They don't feel like they like their legs, and they don't feel like they are attractive enough to get somebody else. So they stay with this person longer because they can't see the qualities within themselves that make themselves unique or that makes them stand out.
He telling them that they trying to look certain ways for certain people. If men stop doing that, a lot of women, they dress up for themselves. They want to feel how they want to look, how they feel on the inside. Right. You know what I'm saying? And as long as you're not
different. Right, it's a difference between.
You gotta understand that she's gonna want to doll up every now and then. She's gonna want to look presentable, and you gotta be prepared. If you got a bad bitch, like if you didn't want a bad bitch, you should have got a bitch. You know, some girls they put that makeup, and they put on them extra lashes. It's over with. You know, especially the tomboy girls. Oh. That 1-2 times a year, everybody be like, damn, you be like, yeah, you forgot. You know, so right. They be like, damn, girl, I ain't seen you. You ain't dressed up in about a month. You look good. Look, put your heels on. Got your.
And I feel like most narcissistic relationships don't have people like that because that person begins to feel like that they can't attract the attention of another person because they gonna get bitched about it when they get home. Oh, I don't want you around him. You know, even if family members, these people will isolate you to the fullest point where you can't even see yourself. You can't even see your own self. So I feel like that could be something people who are in trauma bonding relationships need to do. You need to start with that self-love and start reminding yourself what parts of you that you like.
That jealousy shit. That's why I feel bad for people that are like, I'm not a jealous person. I feel like you wouldn't be with me if you didn't want to be with me. You know what I'm saying? Not the way I'm set up. You get what I'm saying? And it's not that I'm a bad person.
Not at all.
I'm not one of them people. You know what I'm saying? That just live with people. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. They just live with people and move in. I'm not one of them girls. You know what I'm saying? So if we together, let's be together.
Right.
We together for real. So I know women are gonna look. Well, I got to be mad for it. You get what I'm saying? As long as he moves a certain way.
I'm going to cook, girl, clean, and wash everything. I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna hand him a pen so he can write that check.
Girl,
on my beard.
Let him get his beard lined up and shit. Go outside, like, oh,
I geek you up. I will geek you up.
We put some moisturizer on your hands. Come here. Mm-hmm. Look good. It's because you get older and you change and things fall and get saggy and turn gray. You know, you gotta boost each other's confidence. It starts with us, but the outside world seeing it, it's okay too, you know.
That's what makes me excited that other people like enjoy the chase. Enjoy the chase because there's somebody out here who it's lots of people out here who your person could be attracted to. But if they don't initiate any contact or take any action and they look the other way, it could be the finest man on earth walking that way, and I'm gonna look this way because I ain't looking for him. I ain't looking for him to
like, oh, I'm jealous. And this is that there. I'm like, look, you got to if I got to question you, like your loyalty.
We need to be together.
We do not need to be together. Like, because when my brain's set up, every little thing you do is on my mind. Everything you do, like I'm checking the time.
We in Aquarius. We will get divine synchronicities and divine messages.
I go
We will know.
I go check and see if Babe been on Facebook. If he been active in the last couple of hours, he's supposed to be at work. Why you on Facebook? You know what I'm saying? What you doing over there? You see what I'm saying? I'm looking at going through pockets. You know, you watch laundry, they leave money in it. That's my little change. You don't put the change in your pocket. You know?
Thank you very much for your contribution.
Clean.
I appreciate it.
Paying attention. I'm opening mail, reading shit. You know, if I ever feel like, okay, I know it's another bitch, I have to get away from it. Because if I do what you do, you're gonna want to kill me.
You know what? I do feel that part. I'm gonna be honest. I could consider it. I could consider it if I'm in a very
the thing that come up in my head. I know I could never do it, but
you might be right. If I didn't know about it,
with the idea, I'd be like, if I ever let myself get this mad, I'm gonna be dangerous because it's whatever at that point. We can go to jail today. You know what I'm saying? Like
something interesting that I learned when researching trauma bonding is that people can experience physical and spiritual illnesses when they leave trauma bonding relationships. And I thought that was so interesting that like you can have literally nausea. And I noticed that when I do cord cutting, that people do also have those same type of effects. So you're gonna go through something raw from this individual. You gotta be prepared because your feelings might not be, your levels might not be right. You might be feeling like you made the wrong decision because your body is reacting differently to this situation. And that is the best time to do your cord cutting and your spiritual cleansing so that you can assist your body in releasing anything that needs to be released energetically and physically. Do your yoni steam, girl.
As a spirit,
that pum pum.
As a spirit God, I'm 100% with you. But as a regular human being, I think that shit funny. You see what I'm saying? Because you know what you did. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what you was doing. You know, people like to, I didn't. Yes, you did. You see what I'm saying? And now you thought it was going to be an easy, you just peel off the Band-Aid, rip it off, and everything's going to be fine. It's not like that. It's y'all, the sex.
Especially ones who do work. Like if you did some spell work or pay from spell work intentionally in a relationship, you knew you seen red flags in the first place. Like there's people who will make love jars. This one lady put a bullet in her love jar. That man pistol whipped her. You pistol whipped because you know how you want to take an item of that person's when you're using work, so that way you can kind of get that connection with them. They be taking the wrong items, first of all, or they be tying themselves to people who they wouldn't tie to be with in the first place. Why'd you tie yourself to a criminal? And then you expect for things to go right. You just tied yourself to this drug dealer. You just tied yourself to this dude.
I think the worst part about it is people be lying. You see what I'm saying? People meet people and fall in love in 48 hours. Mm-hmm. And then be trying to move in within the first 2 months. And then be wondering why they need to do some spells or some sort of work. You get what I'm saying? To get them to stop doing certain shit is because you didn't even know who you was dealing with when you started dealing with them. Stop. You didn't know who you was dealing with. You didn't know that person. You didn't know nothing about them. It was just, like you said, trauma bonded. It was just so easy for them to come into your life and become a part of it without even trying. Like this one person said, I want him to change. I said, why would he? Answer my question. Why would he change? She said, because that's what he's supposed to do. I said, but you've been accepting the bare minimum for so long. Now all of a sudden you tired of it. He don't know how to take what you're talking about. And he think you full of shit. Lost my whole train of thought. But everything that I was saying.
It was kind of leading to not setting firm boundaries. Like you seen them repetitive patterns. You seen this. You knew. You
You know what you're
knew.
doing, and you mad because it didn't work again.
And it's crazy because I've warned people before. Because look, I'm a spiritual worker. This is my job. This is how I provide for myself. This is my business. So I'm going to use the skills that I know to assist you if I can, or I'm gonna tell you who can help you.
I'm not gonna
But at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell right. In some cases, I will tell you if you're wrong, and sometimes I will advise against it. That's why I started doing spiritual consultations, because people wanted to just pay for spell work and not have no consultation. So I have to give divination to understand the energies and the full effect of what's going on.
I did a consultation. You know, she still went through with it. She still wanted to do it.
Like that too. I've had some people like that too.
I did it, but guess what? Half of the candle was black. And I told her, I said, you would need another round of this, because
keep doing it if you want to see.
You would literally, I told us, you would literally have to keep doing this to make him chill the fuck out. You would have to keep doing it, because he only had about this much of his 7-day candle that wasn't blacked out. I was like, do you see how much shit? And then the couple candle didn't even burn together. He burnt this way. So what you want me to say? I can't make him do shit. That's not how I work. If it's meant to be, it will be, and it will come together. But it's a mess, and I can't fix mess. I know some people do, making people obsessed, and the few little love workers that I've done.
When you locked in somebody's basement, when you can't leave your room, when you can't leave your house no more because you want.
That's why I don't do stuff like that, because the few simple attraction spells and love spells I've done, some of these men went kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with the basic shit. It didn't even take a whole lot. Now, if I'm doing obsessive spells, bro, it's gonna be like till death, literally. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you're doing. You playing with him. If he want to be out, let him be out.
Like if you did your first round of spiritual work and it went negatively, and you gave it that spell and that ritual time to manifest physically, or
he was nice. He was nice for about 30 days. Yeah. And that's why I said
but that's the thing, you know with certain energies that they're less likely to change, especially if you've done divination and you see red flags, you told this person. And I've had clients who was like, I fucked up. How do we fix this? And I will assist you in that too, but you gotta be able to handle that karma. That's why I let people know before you pay for it, you gotta be able to handle that part.
It's lessons in all of this shit. And some of them girls, it's only been 2 scenarios where I was kind of like, are you sure? And it was like, yeah, man, I'm sure. And I did it. One dude, I didn't even know he sold drugs till way later. All the stuff with the police, like, it was just too much. You get what I'm saying? In the other situation, he was only nice for about 30 days, 25 days. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I told y'all what was going to happen. I told you, because at the end of when I finished doing all the spell work, I do a reading on the candles. I read the wax. I take notes while the candles is burning. I watch how the flame is doing. I listen for things that's going on in my house. A lot of times we got on multiple TVs. I'm listening for clues. I'm looking for signals. As the work is being done the next, and I'm thinking of the client, and I'm writing shit down, and I'm telling you what's going to happen. So you can't say that I told you that he was going to stop doing that shit permanently, because you got evidence of me telling you why it's not going to stop permanently.
And that same energy, that same exact card, that same exact sword. Like it's certain things that you will see. And some people hard-headed. I swear they just want to learn the hard way. I think
I let them learn, because you got to learn. I think the hardest ones is when a witch and a warlock fuck with each other. Those relationships, I kind of like, I never actually had to do any work on a couple like that. And if I ever had the opportunity, that's gonna be hard. You get what I'm saying? Because
everybody come with their own team of spirits. So that's
and if they're like, because once you tap into the spiritual shit, there's things with you that might make that person feel some type of way sometimes because you be doing your shit. You get what I'm saying? There can be inconsistencies with life and stuff, human experiences. Y'all can
people forget that spiritual workers go through regular situations. We are humans. We are not exempt from anything. The only thing that we do differently than y'all is we know how to conjure situations. So maybe we can get some results a little bit faster. We can change situations and make it happen a little bit differently. We have that ability to work with elements and the tools we need to do that. But we are not exempt. Like we don't get no pass. Life still happens to us too. I think some people trauma bond with spiritual workers. I kind of want to more say readers. There's a lot of spiritual readers out here who I feel like read the same type of karmic energy, and you'll see it. Like another spiritual worker will be able to recognize it within them that they only have this ability to tell or perform negative things, or they repeat the same thing, or you see them kind of go through the same type of situations, and it's like they see it in their cards. Have you ever seen like some of those readers manipulate their readings, if that makes sense, in a way to where a lot of it is intentionally negative? And even with people who claim they're twin flame or karmics, they'll constantly pull these same type of energies, and then that energy manifests in the client's life. I hope I said that in a way that makes sense. But it's kind of like I think sometimes people might create negative or karmic bonds, trauma bonds with spiritual workers too, if those workers have not done the proper shadow work. So it's that's
very, very possible. It happens all the time. It happens all because some people target spiritual people. Like they want that friend. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants that friend. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to be cool with the girl who's what to do, just doing that shit. Oh, it's cool. They do all this stuff for me. But what people don't understand is if that's a good person and you using them and you doing it wrong, what the fuck you think gonna happen to you? They be walking away from situations with the worst kind of crap going on in their life because they're so used to using people. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes we are given orders by spirit to keep certain people around. Right. And we might end up having the shitty end of the stick. But they learn what they were supposed to learn. And I feel like that happens with everybody. Sometimes a lot of us, we're meant to teach other people. We're meant to show them what certain things look like. And that's why people are like, oh, they want to get back together. No. Why would you take them back? They didn't want to get together. I'm like, what? Do you know what you're doing? Why would you take them back? How you know they changed?
I think a lot of trauma bonding experiences are meant to teach us, but a lot of us don't learn those lessons, and we have to continuously go through that same situation again and again till we do. So I definitely think that karma has a big role to play in it with these trauma bonding relationships. But it's like we still make that choice. Are we going to learn and grow, or are we going to keep going through the same thing and building up all these negative feelings and become one of these people old, stressed, and depressed with a dog, baby?
Bro, that's why I tell people, you better look at these old folks and learn some shit. I was like, because you listen to old women, they was like, girl, shit. My man used to tell you all types of shit. You'd be like, you know what? Pick up some of that stuff you need. You know what I'm saying? For your whatever situation you're dealing with. Because there's some lessons I personally do not need to learn. You know, there's some because I'm just not right in the head. You know what I'm saying? So I steer away from certain things that I know is gonna take me to a place that could prevent me from doing what I need to do for my children.
Oh yeah.
I stay away from that.
Remind myself that too.
I don't see how
I
people
can't go to
do it.
jail.
I
It's no
don't
good
see,
food in there. I mean,
I don't see how people do it because I really be like, bro, like it's not that labels matter, but it's hard to pull away from that once you've allowed those types of people into your home and into your atmosphere, into your energy to take you away. Like building that back up and then having children involved, so difficult. There's so many demons in jail. You get what I'm saying? People get out, people go in there and come out. You don't know who the fuck they are. It's just not. Some people go in there, they don't
children
never.
involved. I highly encourage people to work on ancestral generation, work with the ancestors on both sides, because I thought they can be mediators if you call upon the ones who have your highest good, because not every ancestor has your highest good or the highest good of your children. So you got to be very clear about who you calling. But I feel like in those instances, I do encourage people to reach out to the ancestors who will positively benefit them, even when you don't got that physical presence of that person's family. You can still reach out to their ancestors for help on behalf of your children and teach your children to do the same thing. Yeah, it's their birthright. Exactly. I think sometimes some of these children are born specifically so we can work on the ancestral generation that is needed. Because there are people, how we were talking about kind of opposites attract. I feel like opposites kind of attract too in these relationships because it's always the narcissist and the empath dynamic. Like these are people who are totally different spiritually, physically, mentally. So it's like we grow these attachment styles with them.
Every now and again, narcissists meets. I feel like they turn people into narcissists, and it's a survival. You know, like
it's a survival technique. It's that fight or flight.
Life dealing with a narcissistic father, and then I get with you. You cool at first, but then you start acting like I'm gonna switch. You see what I'm saying? From being like, well, I'm still gonna be an empath, but my other shit's gonna kick in because now I'm trying to just survive. I'm like, nah, you're not gonna do that shit to me. Oh, two can play that game. That's just.
I think these are techniques that all humans need to develop because if we didn't have that fight or flight, we wouldn't know what to do. If some of us didn't experience a lot of trauma growing up, we would enter our adult life and situations would be very challenging for us. Now that we've had that trauma, we're able to recognize certain patterns in people so that we can stay away. We're able to like kind of understand relationship dynamics better.
That warning when you see it because it's scary. When you ever been in scenarios where somebody tell you hey, you should come with me, and you say nah, and something really bad happened to them wherever they went. That's happened to me too many times. From car accidents to fights, I just always avoid. If something don't feel right, I'm not going. You know what I'm saying? Something right. And
right. Do not go.
I'm not going to jail.
If you heard anything today. Oh, I know for like a week straight, I was watching all the jail shows on Netflix, like to remind myself, like this ain't where I want to be. And it was because of something simple. Like there was another kid at school messing with my kid, and that's like my trigger. Just messing with my kid, making my kid have negative emotions and causing me to react in a way that could be negative. Whether it's with, and I'll be trying to make sure that I take my ashwagandha, got all my chemicals balanced because I would hate to turn loony on y'all. You don't want to see that. I was raised by a Sagittarius. And my Sagittarius mom was raised by a Sagittarius Scorpio cusp. Okay, so
I do my best to maintain, my sanity. When it comes down to my kids, people really don't. It's never really, because I tell my fiance all the time, like, people really don't play with me. Like, when people see me in person, I'm like 5'7", so I'm not little. You get what I'm saying? And I don't. do I look friendly? I was like, I don't know. I'm not one of the people who walk up on and just be like, yeah. Like sometimes people do. Like when I went to New Orleans and Miami, everybody drunk though. You know, that's different.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
regular day life, no. Like people do not like it's not a thing. Because when I go places, I'm okay, grocery store, groceries out. I'm not going in there, meet nobody, be nobody friend, have no conversations and shit. No, I'm gonna get grits and milk and shit.
I got a list.
And people, I know sometimes people like, you ain't see that man look at you. No, because I'm getting what I need so I can get out of this damn stuff. What is wrong with y'all? Y'all be looking. I said, that's the reason why bitches be ended up in crazy situations. Because, see, y'all don't be minding y'all damn business. Mind your business. Now, if it's something crazy going on, I can see why. But in a lot of scenarios, girl, mind your business. That is the safe zone. If you see a man staring at you, don't look at him. He might have AIDS. he might have been sick.
It's okay to be what's in your peripheral vision. It's okay to be aware of your surroundings, but don't you just be going with strangers, stranger danger.
You know, it's men who send men at other women to see if the woman go. Men, what, bro? Men is petty, bro.
Women, it's women who send women these days. Like anybody, you see all these friend trips.
Petty, like I'm not doing that. You might try to do some weird shit to me. You know what I'm saying? And I got to hurt you, friend. You know, so we don't even know each other.
I have that thought. Like I wish more. You know what? I'm starting to believe that not everybody has developed a connection with themselves to be able to trust those interpretations and those signs. Like you have, when you've matured and you've undergone certain experiences, you begin to trust yourself and those feelings that you have. And not everybody has that trust within themselves, especially if they come from or grew up with a trauma bonding relationship, because they've just learned that fight or flight. So they're going to do what they need to do to protect themselves, and possibly what they need to do to not cause anyone else to have an extreme emotion. Like they always spending their life treading so lightly that it's almost like that fear attracts more people who are going to give them that negative experience, because they're constantly thinking like, dang, you know, I don't have no firm boundaries, but I got this like a fight or flight, like, or this people pleasing tendency that I have. So it's like, it all leads back to yourself. Even though we're discussing trauma bonding relationships, which involves multiple people, it all leads back to the work that we have to do next. So we don't end up in these situations, or that we can see them when they happen. Because if you see it right away, your spirit knows like, ooh, nah, this ain't what I want. Let me go ahead and walk away.
I'm still learning. I'm still, every now and then I get caught up fucking with an op-ass bitch, you know, so, and that's cool.
Me too, and it hurt. Like it hurt.
I be like, I'm serious about my friends. I be like, y'all, I love my friends. Like, come on, why you gotta be stupid? You see what I'm saying?
I'm already an Aquarius, so I feel like the friendships that I do create, I genuinely like, want you to be my friend, because I'll let people know when we're not friends.
Like, we not cool. Like, you'll know.
Let people know.
You'll know, or you'll know. You
so
know,
if I literally started asking
to hang out with in person, I'd be like, bro, you should know how important you are. I want to be in your presence. I would rather be by myself. I don't even like to go places for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate when people violate that, because I just be like, dang, like, you could let me the fuck alone. You know what I'm saying? You ain't have to do all that. Like, all that was unnecessary. And now we got beef forever. You know what I'm saying? Not beef like I'm gonna fight you when I see you, but you're gonna be dealing with this karma for a little bit. Cause you ain't gonna get away with that shit. Cause I give you options. I be like, you ain't got to fuck with me. Just FYI. Hey,
too, we always talk, you know, a lot of people always say that Aquarius ghost people, but some of y'all need to learn how to do these same tendencies. Because if you learn how to ghost that narcissist, or you learn how to leave these people behind who've been
like,
lowering your vibration, maybe because you got one time to show me that this ain't what I want, I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna believe this ain't what I want. As a matter of fact, not only will I believe it, I'm gonna call upon my spiritual team to ask for confirmation that I shouldn't fuck with you no more. And as soon as they send me that confirmation, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna leave you alone exactly like the spirit said.
I'm gone. Like, you will never see me again. Because I feel like as a child, I wanted nothing more than to grow up and get away from everybody. I did not grow up for y'all to try to bully me as an adult. Who the fuck you think? What kind of sense does that make? Because I'm an easygoing person. I'm very chill. For the most part, I don't ask so much. So if you start to become a problem, you're doing a lot. You're doing more than just hey, why are you doing it? You're doing a lot. And I don't appreciate it because you're doing it so much. I'm catching it. So how often are you? What's going on with you? You know what I'm saying? Can you communicate? Do you need anything? You know, is something going on? You like deliberately just saying fuck me over and over. I'm not gonna let nobody keep doing it because some people, that's what they do, and I can't make you change. It's not even fair to myself to sit there and just.
That's a question. That right there is a question that people need to ask themselves. If you think you're in a trauma bonding relationship, is this okay to me? Is this okay for me? This is like
because you
got
can
to start asking
and it can turn into something. I've seen trauma bonding turn into something, but people who really, but it don't always turn into something
positive. It doesn't always.
Can't change. They don't want to change. And I just be like, yo, got to stand on what you preach. You got little people watching you. If you got kids, you got young adults watching you, people watching you. You got all these. You want to lead by example. You hurting. Why would you want to see somebody else be hurt like you? You know? Learn
the fact that they normalize it, or if it goes on for so long, they just start to accept it. But once you start thinking like how you just said, okay, there's little people around me. Maybe I've accepted this as normal, but do I want them little people to accept this action as normal? It's like sometimes you gotta start asking yourself those deeper questions because there are things that I endured as a child that I would never allow my child to experience or be around. Like it can be tough asking those questions. It can be tough, especially when you become a parent. I feel like you're challenged with a lot of the things with a lot of the relationships that you've developed because you have to develop a new relationship with each little person that you create. So it leads you to questioning all the relationships that you've been in, what you've seen, what other family dynamics that you've seen. And you got to figure out how you're going to parent this child by looking at how your parents parented you and how you see other people parent. And
girl, I started reading books. Girl, I learned how to breastfeed and everything. I wanted to just it wasn't bad. It was just.
It's funny you said that because I feel like that's the main excuse older people use. It ain't like we have a book. It ain't like anybody told us what we supposed to do. But I went and looked for the information that I needed. I went and I purchased them books.
I actually followed some of the pediatricians' advice. I listened to my doctor.
If you look, you're going to find what you're looking for. If you look, you're going to find what you're looking for. If you really want to change your parenting skills, you're going to take action to do that. You're going to be about action and not just talk. So I kind of feel like that was programmed into us. Oh, we don't got no books. Of course, every parent is going to make mistakes of parenting. But when you make that mistake, you kind of got to sit down with yourself and say, damn, I fucked up. You got to tell your kid too, shit, I might fucked up a little bit. Because you don't want your kid to be like, oh, my mama treated me this way. This is a normal relationship, so I can accept this from anybody else.
She never said sorry. You see what I'm saying? Right. Because that's important. You got to know how to apologize and really mean that shit.
That one's hard because my father, for example, his mother always told him never to say you're sorry because you ain't no sorry ass. So my father, I feel like for a long time, did not want to accept any of the negative actions that he did, didn't want to acknowledge it, didn't want to be sorry to any of his children because he was literally taught not to be sorry.
I think some people take, I guess it's more like you got to ask them to apologize. Because if you think about it, I understand. I kind of get what they were saying. We don't say sorry because we mean what everything we do. We doing it because we meant to do it. So we're not sorry, but he could have apologized. I think that's as you age, you realize that there's a little bit of a difference, depending on where you're from.
The option to change. Everybody always gets presented with that option to change.
Because some people, they hear that word sorry, and that could be like somebody could have called them sorry their whole life. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you should say sorry. Sorry, that you think triggered. Okay, well, can you apologize? Because that hurt my feelings. You see what I'm saying? Because the first thing a man always like to say, I ain't sorry. Okay, well, apologize.
Learn how to take a feminine approach to situations like that, because I feel like a lot of men don't see what they did wrong, affect us emotionally. And I had to be like, you know what? I know you said what you said, and I know you meant it, because look, I believe it. We say things that we mean. You know, people say they fucked up, but at the end of the day, when you say something, usually it's connected to your heart. You say what you meant. It just hurt. It just hurt that other person. So it's like, I can acknowledge. I used to have a masculine approach too. It was working for me.
I was like, you know what? You meant what you said. And now they sitting there questioning themselves, like, hold the fuck up. And they start making accusations. No, we good. You see what I'm saying?
Acknowledge what you said, and maybe ask myself some questions, to see.
And we acknowledge, the power of tongue.
So, teaches our kids to say, hey, that hurt me, rather than just ignoring their own feelings and emotions.
We know the power of tongue. I know the power of tongue. You got the mole on your lip. I got the mole on my lip. I know the power of tongue. So before I say certain stuff, I say,
I gotta stop myself. Wait a minute. What if this manifests?
Because certain things I have said have manifested for certain people. And it wasn't, and I wasn't trying to be malicious, but that's really what they deserve. You see what I'm saying? Like, this was like some downright dirty stuff. This was not, oh, you just hurt my feelings. No, you went above and beyond hurting my feelings. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you got from that. And sometimes I wish people good. I wish people well, like farewell.
Yeah.
But shit still happened to them. So once I realized that, I said, you know what? I'm gonna just be quiet.
For me, too. And I connected to, because I'm mainly, my chart is Capricorn and Aquarius. And that's both Saturn energy. And that Saturn energy is karma. So I learned real quickly in life that if I do something, I'm gonna get my karma. But if somebody else do something,
my karma is instant. Even if they did something to me, even if they did something to me, bro, I ran into cabinet doors. I mean, hard as hell. You like, yo, what? How the hell you about to fall out? You know what I'm saying? Tripped and fell outside, trying to hurry up, and then ran out of get. Bro, they mad. Bro, I have 2 Aquarius and 3 Capricorn, and I think I got Capricorn sat in my Saturn. I think my Saturn is Capricorn. So, okay, yeah. So I have to deal with. I tell you what, I don't do fuck shit, because I know what fuck shit bring. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not slow. I wait until the moment you let me know you're not fucking with me, it's all fair game after that. You see what I'm saying? But as long as, if I'm aware we fucking with each other, you aware we fucking, okay, I'm chilling. I'm not pressed to get out there and looking for more people to sleep with. It's never that big of a deal anyway, because I'm 9 times out of 10 gonna shoot for the masturbate before I would jump straight and try to fuck with somebody. Bitches need to learn how to masturbate
You need to learn how to slow down. For real, they gotta learn how to slow down
They
and
need
learn
how to do it. They need to
stop
learn
increasing your body count. Increasing your body count, increasing all that karma and all those negative attachments to people like that. When you start,
because they think we're saying decrease their body count, trying to slut shame. We're not slut shaming. We're saying it's from a spiritual standpoint that you are swapping energies with people that probably would wish you death on any given day. You gotta understand what that does to you, how that make, what that's gonna do to you, your womb. You know, once you realize that, like, you realize sex is a spiritual event. It's not just physical. So if you casually mess with somebody, you could casually mess with somebody and it'd be a safe situation. But if you mess with a lot of people and they mess with people,
that's why y'all be confused. That's why y'all be depressed. Because y'all got so many different energies that you holding on to that by the time you get to a spiritual worker, we looking at you and you nine of swords, you just so cloudy. You got so much going on around you that you can't get yourself back on track. You looking for open roads and everything else because you done blocked your own self by tying yourself to all these different people with all these different energies. People gotta learn how to be picky with their energy. You got to be picky with your energy because half these people ain't worth it. And sometimes you be the blessing in their life. As soon as you leave them, they ain't got that job.
Everybody always be like, I'm always the blessing in somebody's life. Are you choosing this? You see what I'm saying? Because after a while, it looked like you out here trying to play Bob the motherfucking Builder. You see what I'm saying? Thinking you can fix every damn body. And that's not, nobody on this earth is meant to do just that. Because it's not, there's nothing spiritual about just always helping other people. You're gonna kill
everything
yourself.
Got an energy exchange. So if you can't give nothing from your cup if your cup don't run it over. If you ain't got nothing extra to give, you don't need to be giving because people be depleting their own self. Trying to do everything that you think that people pleasing, trying to people please and make sure that you can be there for this, that, and that person because you think you gotta be so loyal.
You're gonna kill yourself. And you know what? I just posted this on Facebook the other day. I was like, when people get hot on the tearing tip, I said, everybody running to them to get reads from them. I said, out of nowhere, if you really watching their lives, they look like they like drained. Like they can't sit up good, or if they kind of flush, or they got real heavy bags. I was like, this is a sign.
Tired in the beginning. I didn't have no boundary.
This is a sign that they need to sit the fuck down. I said, because I went through it too when I first started. I mean, it was 2020. Man, when people read like that, man, my lives would last 4, sometimes 6 hours. Like I was doing spells multiple times a week. I was making stuff. That's how I developed my oil recipes. I mean, I was running full speed and about killed my damn self, man. Drained myself. I posted that, so y'all got to pay attention to like what y'all do. Do y'all want to do the spiritual stuff, but y'all not understanding? If you're not doing what you're supposed to do for you,
your work gonna start being weak. You might have seen results when you was first doing work, but it's gonna be weak if you ain't got no energy to put into it.
Yeah, it'll kill you. And I've seen a couple of readers go through this, and it honestly, for some of them, if it doesn't affect their energy, out of nowhere, they got hella haters. When I say hella haters, I mean
pages be popping on.
People is literally like emailing them or call, like they got stalkers, like people making fake pages to talk shit. And I see this a lot with my water sign readers. I see that a lot with my water and my air sign readers. It's sneaky shit. You see what I'm saying? It's all deliberate, and it's all like, what the fuck is wrong with them? You get what I'm saying? And like for a lot of my other readers, it's just, especially my earth signs, do not want to sit the fuck down. Like they hit that,
and then they don't even be having no protection. Like you don't need to protect yourself when you're doing these.
That big ass glass they be wearing around their neck. That is not no goddamn protection. That is a piece of a ceiling fan piece that probably needs to go back over there. You know what I'm saying? That's
with the right intentions.
That big ass. That's not enough. You gotta cleanse your home. You do read. You gotta make sure you open the door, the window, or do them outside. Especially if you got children.
That part too. You have to be extra careful when you have families.
You gotta take care of your health. You gotta make sure you're doing what you need to do for you. You gotta make sure you're praying. It's just a lot. It's literally live this shit. This is not just Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. This is if I don't do what I'm supposed to do when I get the fuck off of this podcast, my day gonna go sour. You see what I'm saying? Like, period. And people like take it as a joke. And they be thinking that, oh, it's not real. And then when they see that, now you scared. Why are you scared of me now? I told you it was real. You told me that it wasn't real. And now you found out that it's real. You scared of me. But I told you this. Not my fault you didn't listen to me. I told you what was going to happen. People like to play. It's like prophets. Prophets are on earth. Prophets are it's a lot of prophets on earth. And people don't be heeding the warnings from these said prophets. And some of these prophets I feel like it's the delivery, that's the demeaning them or their position that's preventing them from getting out what needs to be said, you know. But like Kanye West,
when you that one.
That's a miss. He's misunderstood, and it's not. People have always said he's not a very good talker. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. He's gotten a lot better.
But he's also on the spectrum. He's also on the spectrum.
So you can't tell that when you're listening to him, you're gonna take shit you're gonna go left. Like your understanding of what he's saying is gonna go far left. It's like with Donald Trump. People like he's racist. No, he's not. He is a businessman. He see green. Yeah. He don't like nobody. No. People like to take shit. Oh, he said this about women. He said, listen to me. He don't like nobody but himself. That's white, black, Asian, Puerto Rican, male, or he don't care. But that's what got him where he at. He's comfortable. Leave his old ass alone. You know what I'm saying? He over there doing what Trump do. You know what I'm saying? I don't even be bothered with that Trump shit. I just be like, they ain't talking to me. You know what I'm saying?
If anything, y'all like that president in the future, he was I actually appreciated that about him. I think he's the most entertaining president of my lifetime.
He's super entertaining. And it was just, he's a businessman. Like, people just don't understand